Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm gonna talk about beautiful orchids, yes, but mainly about pests and pest treatments for orchids because I am so tired of having little mosquitoes flying around, having little insects munching on the beautiful flowers that took me a long time to get to rebloom. So for this reason, I want to tell you a little bit more about what I will try this time. Let's dive into this together. I hope you learn something, or at least gives you an idea of how to treat whatever is going on with your plants. So without further ado, let's dive straight in. I do have between 150 and 200 orchids and houseplants inside a flat here in London. And it's really normal when your plant collection or orchid collection start to grow that you will encounter some pests. If you have a very small collection, it's much easier for you to get rid of these pests manually, just using some natural products, because you have more time to actually investigate, keep an eye on your plant. The bigger your collection gets, start to get a little bit trickier because you have to keep an eye on so many plants. Insects can easily hide among leaves, roots, and even inside the soil. So it gets a little bit more difficult for us to spot these pests and treat them accordingly. What happened in the past years is that I had infestations of scales, mealybugs, spider mites, thrips. I have fungus gnats this time. They are all around. And it's a bit annoying, but they don't do anything exactly super harmful to my plants, but they multiply very quickly. So I learned a lot about how some of the products I could use to treat some of them, like using rubbing alcohol, using leaf shines, neem oil, inorganic oil, natural pesticides, systemic pesticides, and all of that. I've had my fair amount of trials and errors in the past few years with a multitude of different pests. So I do have other videos here showing you how it's covered my first infestation of thrips, how it's covered my infestation of spider mite, dealing with scales, and many others. And one thing that you can notice when you have some of these infestations is that it will start affecting your plants. Most of the insects mainly, they will suck the sap from your orchid. They will try to feed themselves, sucking some nutrients from your plants. So it will affect the health of your orchids. When we have orchids like this one here, this beautiful orchid that finally is in full bloom, what do you start to notice? If you manage to get to this stage and then suddenly you have some pests in here, you will notice that some flowers will start to show some weird signs, like they are getting too old very quickly and not as beautiful as they were before. So you see grazings all around the flower. This grazing is a very clear sign that some insects are munching on your orchid. On the other hand, when we have oncidiums and we have super long leaves, and you start to notice that the leaves start to getting multiple grazings as well. Sometimes we have like a copper color or brown spots. All of these could be signs of pests. We have different pests. At the moment here specifically, I do have an infestation of thrips. That's the thing that annoys me the most because they multiply very quickly. They have a difficult cycle for us to get rid of them quickly. And they do affect the blooms of my orchids. So my Phalaenopsis was supposed to be like all of them. They pushed their flower spikes already. So now some of them, they have their buds. What is happening is that the buds are blasting. So the thrips are sucking the sap, destroying the buds of my orchids. Finally, when it's time for them to be all blooming together, the insects are not allowing this to happen. So it is pretty frustrating. And as I said, I've dealt with them before. I had last year, I tried stick pesticides. It didn't work well. However, it stopped selling to the UK. Probably is not allowed here. I don't know, but on Amazon they stopped selling. To London, I cannot buy from the same seller before, and I don't think the seller was in the UK, it was in Europe. So it's probably products that we cannot use here. Fair enough, great. So I tried spraying my plants, didn't work completely. And now that it's winter, it's a great time for us to treat our plants because when it's winter time, not only the metabolism of our plants will be a little bit slower because the temperature is much cooler than when it's spring or summer. So not only the metabolism of our plants will be slower, but the metabolism of all of the insects and other animals, they will be a bit slower as well. That's normal, specifically insects, because they cannot multiply as quickly as they would when the weather was a little bit warmer, which is super great because we can catch an infestation when it's just starting, which is perfect. So my tip here is if you have plants, if you have orchids in your house, and you want to have some chance of succeeding treating the pests that you have around or the insects that are munching your plants, even fungus gnats, ideally, we should start treating in the beginning when you first notice the first mosquitoes flying or the first insect biting on your plant, because you're going to have less eggs, less larvae, and it's going to be much easier for you to deal with everything in the beginning. I don't have thrips for a long time, but even so, I should have treated them before. I was just thinking, what could I do? Because, as I said, I have a ton of plants and I tried to spray them before. But as you can imagine, when you spray plants one by one, it takes a long time and I need to spray the leaves, both sides of all of these leaves. And when we have flowers, if I spray the flowers, there are greater chance that I will lose my flowers as well in the process. So I will not have the beautiful bloom show. So I was debating what to do in this case, and a viewer gave me a good idea. This person lives in the US, if I'm not mistaken, and the person was mentioning something that's similar to these stick pesticides. It's basically using a systemic pesticide. Systemic pesticides are the pesticides that will actually treat your plant, but will treat the whole life cycle of the insects as well. So probably they are not natural, so they are not safe for children. You have to be careful when you use them because they are not safe for us if you inhale, if you manage to swallow some of these substances. They are made in labs. They are full of chemicals that will actually kill the insects and they destroy the life cycles of these insects, hopefully making sure that they will not be alive in our plants collection. As I said, spraying all of them would be a lot, so it's actually balancing out what to do. I live in an enclosed space, I have a child who lives with me, so all of these, I don't have any garden to take them outside and just spray everything outside. That's why I was taking my time. So this viewer told me that in the US, someone suggests to them to use a systemic pesticide, went to a agriculture store and someone gave them something to put on the pot that would prevent the pests to keep munching on the plants and simply would kill this pest without having to spray anything. So I went online and I did my research. I didn't see in any videos or I don't know how successful I will be, but I want to bring that and show you what it's going to be my first attempt to show you how I'm going to do it. So if you have plants indoors, it might be good for you as well. If you use other substance like that here in the UK, let me know. I might be able to find it as well. But let me tell you which pesticide I'm going to use and how I bought it. And also, after that, I will just put all of my plants, not all of my plants, but I will place my plants here on the table and we're going to treat them. I only bought one package because I didn't know how my plants would react. And I want to start first with all of my blooming orchids. I don't care if something happens to these flowers because that's my chance to save these flowers because thrips, they're actually munching on all of the buds. And I hope that these will not only treat thrips, But we also treat fungus gnats because they will not be able to keep propagating and actually multiplying here inside my collection. And also maybe some scales that I have occasionally. That's my hope. And also spider mites as well. So talking about this forest of insects, now let's go to the forest of plants. So what I have in here, I have, it's called bonide, it's a systemic house plant insect control. I'm just reading what's written on the bottle. Protects plants from damage by aphids, scales, whiteflies, and other listed insects. Here on the back, they do have like a leaflet where you can read all of the instructions, explain you how to add these to our house plants. Or specifically, they don't mention house plants. I think it's any plant that is potted in a container. You need to have a container. It's not something that you can actually add to the soil in your garden, just plants that are potted inside containers. Taking that out of the way, they do have here the measures. We will go with that together. The active substance here is, I'm not going to know how to pronounce, but I will try. Imidacloprate. I don't know. Anyway, you can look for it online. I'm sure there are things similar in other countries, in other territories. And I know that's really bad. I super avoid using pesticides as much as I can. The problem is it's very, very tiring to spray all the plants. Natural pesticides, usually they don't finish with the infestation of thrips that I have. I've tried them before. In my case, I'm not going to be bringing these pots to the sink, so I usually leave them be until these will be completely over. I'm not going to be polluting other environments, and I feel really bad because I know how bad this is. But I have no other idea of how to treat these pests. And it's one way for me to save my collection, because if I have to spray everything again, I don't think I would have the energy and I would probably give up. I would love to know about other solutions as well. If you know other solutions, I know that when we're talking about agriculture, there are some insects that we can use to prevent pests and to do like more natural ways of preventing these pests. Not talking about that specifically today. I will do only things for my houseplants. But before we start doing that, treating these plants, I wanted to let you know that you need to be very careful, because these pesticides, they are extremely toxic. So be careful with your hands. Don't put your hands on your eyes. Don't have children and pass around when I'm using these, because they are actually dangerous. Just to let you know, and when you finish, place it in a safe space so children will not reach to it, and you are just being careful, specifically when we are dealing with things like that. Taking all of it out of the way, let's bring my plants in, let's read the instructions, and let's start treating them. 1 second. What I have in here is all of my plants that were sitting together and that I know I've seen thrips in all of them. So I know that if one plant is sitting very close to the other one, most likely we're gonna have thrips flying from one plant to another very easily, because they move pretty fast. So I start treating these ones first, and after that I will treat all of the other ones who are with buds at the moment, not in front of the camera, otherwise I would take it forever. As you can see, I protected my table. I put some black plastic just not to have some pesticide going around. I don't want to have it. I just want it inside my potting mix. So how this pesticide works? Simply, I will place it in the pot, and instead of spraying, I'll just place the powder into the potting mix, and I will use some sticks to make sure the pesticide will go inside the potting mix. After that, I will water my plant, and the roots will suck the pesticides, and it will go into the system of the plant. So when the pests munch on these plants, they will actually suck the pesticides, and then that's how we will end with the infestation. So the first thing that I have to do here is to check the label. Let's see. not only to check the label, but just to let you know, I have some gloves here as well, because I don't want to have my hands full of pesticides either. And that's the moment to be a little bit more careful when we are using products like that. I like to be careful. Maybe it's too much, but I don't care. Let's see what they say. So it's depends on the size of your container. I have to make some calculations here because it's inch, not centimeter, and I'm a little bit lost. So let's see. So what it's saying here is that if you have 4 inch, that's 10 centimeters pot, you're going to use 2.5 teaspoons. And then it goes, if it has 5 inch, like around 12 centimeters, then you will go with 2.5 spoons. I do believe that most of my pots are going to be in this range. So let me just check. Let's see if I can go over. I was right. So this one has exactly 12.7, which is 5 inches. So I'm going to use this pot as my reference for most of my other orchids. So when we have 5 inches, we need to apply 4 teaspoons and a half in most of these pots. Let's see, let's open these and let's check. Let me take my phone out of the way. Let's see what we have in here. Okay, that's sealed. So you can use that for spoons. You can use that to just grab a little bit. Let's open this pot. So let me try to focus for you to see. It's just it's like a powder. It's very dark inside. You're not going to be able to see much, but we have like a powder in here. It's a brown powder, very similar to Zlori's fertilizer, for example, not like that. So what I have to do is to grab a teaspoon and add 4.5 teaspoons to that. So I'm not going to be able to treat most of my plants because I didn't buy much of it. I was curious to see how it would go. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4.5. And what I'm going to do with this stick is we're going to just poke through to make sure that the powder that was here on the top will reach the middle of the pot, so we have more chance of the roots of these orchids are actually absorbing all of the things that we have here inside this pot. I'll keep doing the same now. I'm gonna just grab all of the 4 here and I'll keep adding to all of these plants. It's a lot actually. I need to buy many more of these because I don't think these will be enough for most of my plants. So first impression here is that it's very easy for you to spread the, I don't know how to call that, the powder inside the potting mix because these are epiphyte plants. So if you shake the pot, they will definitely go towards the middle of the pot. These pots are full of bark. The second thing that I noticed is that although it's faster than spraying, it still takes some time to count all the spoons, add to these pots one by one, and it's definitely messy. So after I finish all of the products that is in here, I will start cleaning the table. I have to vacuum clean all around because I'm gonna definitely have some powder spread here in this section of my living room. So now let's go to the next stage, what they tell you to do here. And I will show you and we'll conclude this video. Give me 1 second. So what you have to do after you just add the product is offer a little bit of water to your plants. It will help them absorb the thing. It will help them absorb the pesticide. Although I have watered these plants not long ago, it won't hurt them to be a little bit more moist just this week. And then after that, I have to be careful because it's winter. I don't want to have a root rot on top of the pest issues. So hopefully it will not happen. But I'm excited because I've already lost a ton of buds with many of these Phalaenopsis. There is one here that you cannot see, but this one, it's a beautiful pink Phalaenopsis, and it was pushing out the longest flower spike since I acquired this, and then thrips just munched all of the buds. It's a little bit sad. It is what it is, right? Cannot do anything about what happened in the past, but we can do things about what can happen in the future. So that's what I'm doing. You can definitely see signs of thrips not only in flowers, but also in leaves, specifically with Phalaenopsis leaves. You notice like some denting on the leaves. There are very clear marks at the top leaves that are thrips marks. And we can even have issues with crown rot, because it can destroy the top leaves. It happened to me before, which it is a problem. So better get rid of this than keeping having it in your collection and losing your plants. Anyway, that's my trial here. I'll let you know how these plants are doing in the future. Let me know if you have experience with Bonide or with this product or something similar. What do you think about it? I would love to hear more from you. If that's the type of content you'd like to see here, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts if you have pests in your collection. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.